Hey guys, Mass Mechanics here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're finally going to start digging into our F350 project here so we can get this interior going. We're going to start in the back seat, we're going to rip out the old stuff, reupholster some nice leather stuff, and get it going, so stay tuned. Alright, well, to give you guys a quick refresher, or if you're new to the series, this is our trashed out interior. You can see rips, tears, the seats are just really nasty, tons of stains, everything's kind of damaged, even the cushions are no good. It's just really old and dated and filthy, and there's just no rehabilitating this junk. It's time to step it up and really make this nice. And I think we're going to head towards leather. So let's get in the back seat here and I'll show you what we're working with, because this is where we're going to spend our time. So as you can see, the back seat's in no better condition. There's burn holes in the back and it's just trash. So let's get it out. Well guys, we started taking out the back seat. To do the backrest, you know, I didn't show it to you. All you do is you push in and pull up. It's really simple, and these things slide right out. Sometimes they get a little bit rusted down here, and then up here is where they drop in. Very simple, very easy to get out. If this bottom one gives you a hard time, just give it like an open hand punch a few times right in this area, and then it'll eventually make it so you can just pick it right up. And the same with that one. Now you can see why we're replacing these seats. I mean, they're horrible. These stains, I tried to clean them with different interior cleaners. It won't come clean. I mean, this is just from water. This horrible mark. I don't know what kind of cloth Ford used back in '04, but it wasn't very good. I mean, it stains terribly, and there's just no way to make it look good. And after doing all this body work and paint and make this truck look nice, just to have the interior, you open the door, it looks like this. It's just embarrassing, and it's dirty looking, even when it is clean. So let me keep going on getting these seats out. Just to make it easy for you guys, you got one bolt here. You just take the nut off. And you got one right here, Torx. I think it's like a T, on this truck it's like a T55. Then you got one right here for this bracket here. And then you got one in the back right there under those seat belts. And then you got this one and that one on the other side. So you got 6 bolts to get out. They seem to even come out in the junkyard vehicles pretty easily. So I wouldn't be too nervous about taking yours out if that's what you're looking at doing. So let me get this out, and then I'll get back with you. Once you pull the seat out, as you can see, there's quite a bit of room here, and it's a great time to vacuum all this out, because even with this truck, it wasn't filthy dirty ever. I mean, it looks like it is, but it's really not ever used back here that much. It's a couple of car seats now for the last few years, but overall, very minimal use, and it was filthy. So it's a good time to get some good vacuuming done, and now it's time to put the new seat in. It's 2 pieces too. I'll show you how that works. Alright, so we have our leather seat bottom here. As you can see, it's tan. I will be vinyl dyeing it. It's not ripped or torn anywhere. It's really, really dirty. I wiped it for a second, and this is what it looks like. I mean, it's pretty terrible. I'm going to end up probably having to do it with, I mean, look at the seat. That's how filthy this thing is. I'm going to probably have to do the whole thing with like a lacquer thinner, and that will at least pull the top coat off of this. There's like a sealing coat on some of this leather that the factory puts on. That'll strip it off. Then I will give it a light, gentle sand with like some Scotch-Brite, hit it with wax and grease remover, and then I will vinyl dye it gray, because I had already done that on the backrest as like a test piece to see how it would come out with this Ford leather, and it came out great. Let me show you. So this here was our tan backrest. As you can see, it looks like brand new, in excellent shape. The leather moves just fine naturally. It's sealed up, so vinyl dye, or leather dye, I mean, it is. It works fine. The leather dye soaks in nice. It did just as good of a job as the vinyl stuff I use typically does. So let me get to work on this cleaning, and I'll show you maybe some of the steps on refinishing this seat. Alright, the first thing we did was we dismantled the seat. just a bunch of Torx bolts and one Phillips, and you can take it all apart, get that off, so then we can start working with the actual cloth material. And now I'm going to grab some lacquer thinner on a microfiber. Even though I don't love using lacquer thinner on leather, it is okay to use. It will damage it if you are really rough with it, but we got to get this nastiness off of here, as you can see. So let me get that going, and then we'll see what it comes out like after I'm done scrubbing. I did a lot of cleaning with the lacquer thinner, and got this thing all prepped and getting it ready for dye. And I'll tell you, I don't think the camera does it justice, but how much better this thing is. This thing was so filthy dirty and stained. You got to try to get all that grease and oils and any other thing that is on there off. Otherwise, any kind of dye is not going to want to adhere, or not really adhere, but saturate, because you're not painting it, you're dyeing it. I don't know if this was a site I started on last time, and you could see how much cleaner it is. So now the material is, you can tell that the pores are open on it. The hide's a lot cleaner, and you can feel it, that the hide will accept the dye now, more so than when it's coated, where it feels like almost plasticky, like some of the leather you feel on seats. That's because there's a coating on it. So you got to get that off, and then it'll soak right in. So now it's time to start dyeing this thing. A couple of tips when you're doing this is you need to make sure you have good light. I have fluorescent light in here, and I still use a spotlight too, just to make sure your colors are uniform. And also, when you do the carpeted part of anything, or anything that's like a cloth material, I always scrub it in like this, because if you don't and it hardens up, the dye is going to make it feel like you spray painted it, even if you apply it with an applicator. It just gets all crunchy and gunked together. But if you do it like this, it makes it give it a more real feel, like it's not dyed, you know? It separates out all the fibers, and that way they're not all stuck together with whatever type of dye you're using. Because sometimes you can spray this on with a like a hobby style spray gun you would use on like model making type of stuff. That works really good, or like a detail spray gun. Or you can put it on with an applicator pad. Either way, it works fine. But you got to really break up the fibers like this after you apply whatever dye you're using. At least I found, because I've done it both ways, and doing it like this with a little brush makes a huge difference on the feel of it. Otherwise, like I said, it feels like you spray painted the thing, even if you put it on with an applicator pad. Just does not feel natural. It feels plasticky. This way, it dyes it in, and it feels pretty much original. So I'm going to keep going on it, and I'll update you when we get to the other side. Dyed pretty well now. As you can see, it's looking good. It's still wet. It's just the dye soaking into the leather right now, and into the fabric here and the carpeted sides. A lot of people wonder why I went through the hassle of dyeing it and I didn't just buy seat covers for the rear. But the thing is that these are the factory leather seats for Super Duty, and the beauty of these is I got them off a buddy of mine for free. Like the truck was getting crushed, and nobody wanted these dirty old seats, even though they weren't ripped or anything or damaged. They were just filthy dirty. And I said, well, I'll take them and try to dye them and see if it's worth my while, because it'll save me a few $100 having to buy covers. So as you can see, I got it into the fabric really good. You got to really work it in there and then hit it with the brush like I showed you. But you really got all the way into the fabric. And I got a couple of coats onto the leather, and it seems to be soaking in nicely. So this cushion's ready to go, it looks like. Just got to let it dry up. And then we will be on to this nice cushion doing the same thing. So I'll probably spare you guys the hassle of watching me go through the process again, but I will definitely show you the finished product. Like I said, I'll show you really quickly. You got a pin here, and then there's a grommet with a hole in it right here. So you just slide it in, and then all the bolts line right up, and it's super easy to take in and out. It's just getting the bolts out are a little stubborn sometimes because they get a little rust on the end because they go all the way through the floor. So they can be a little difficult to get out, but I've never had one break yet on a Super Duty. So if somebody wants to tackle something like this on their own, it's not that difficult. So I'm going to get this bolted down, and I'll show you the finished product. So here's a little fun fact. As you can see, it's dark outside now because I had to reupholster this seat here because my 2004 somehow is different than the, I think it's an 01 that the rear seat came out of. And the difference is this hole right here is about an inch over on this seat compared to the earlier one. So it makes it so it doesn't line up. And you don't want to just hack it off, because if you do, then your seat could bow out in the middle and it would look terrible. So yeah, I had to switch the springs and all that fun stuff, and now I can slide it right in. It's always something, right? Now here's the finished product. It's all installed. It looks pretty good. A lot better than the nasty stain stuff. And if there is any spills on here, we can wipe it right off nice and easy. So this is our leather seat install for the rear. So now it is time to start working on getting the old seats out in the front and this nasty old broken console here. And then we can get the nice 2011 to 16 console in, the full console, and get these nasty seats covered in leather as well. So stay tuned for that. Well, thanks a lot for watching, guys. This really turned out great. I couldn't be much happier. I mean, for a free seat and $100 and some for the good die and everything, it really came out excellent. So the back is done. We're going to start on the front next and start ripping into that dash. So please like, subscribe, check us out on Instagram. We're the Mass Mechanics.